Mambo Familia Angu, Mimini Eli-Ben-Eli, and welcome to one of my fireside chats. Okay, I was watching, first of all, thank you for watching my video. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please like and subscribe. To everybody out there who has subscribed to me, thank you from the bottom of my heart. I saw a video earlier about Davey, in which A.M. Carroll was discussing a video that she saw by Davey, in which he was behaving in an effeminate fashion, displaying his painted nails and his hair and acting a certain kind of way. Going back to the fiesta, to end all fiestas, the grand party, the party of the century at the Medellin Villa. I saw something that I commented on, and people kind of like poo-pooed me and told me, oh no, it's not like that, African men this, African men that, people want to live in a fantasy world, and they want to pretend that somehow mysteriously LGBTQ issues don't exist in Africa. Hey, well, keep thinking of that. I'll tell you what does exist in Africa. What exists in Africa is an inordinate amount of hypocrisy. Okay? Here in the West, here in America, people tend to be very honest and forthright about certain things. Not to attack fellow the boy. I'm not trying to attack him. I'm simply making a point. There was a time when fellow the boy had another gentleman. I won't identify him, but everybody. Oh well, it's Otenga Jr. They were living in the same quarters, and there's a saying that the Trinidadians have two big, stiff, stinking men, and they actually throw another word in that I won't describe, but sheltering together at night. Both of them young, both of them with sexual drives. One of them, and I will not identify who, is highly effeminate, okay, and makes a pretense of he's going to be married and everything, but shows no interest whatsoever in women. To me that raised suspicions, but people tell me, oh, no, Africans aren't like that. And when the big party was being thrown, there was something that I noticed that was very, very peculiar. Okay, now a little bit of background with me. Back in when I was in law school, I went to law school in Washington D.C. and okay, I don't know whether you know much about New York. About the United States. There is a city called San Francisco that has an incredibly large number of LGBTQ, Z, X, Y, K, L, M, N, O, P, whatever the letters are. Okay, you most people that don't know this country think that city is exceptional. Well, I'll tell you what, you haven't visited Washington, D.C. Okay, Washington, D.C. has a huge, very, very powerful neighborhood filled with those with those folks. And I'm gonna say this: for the most part, I have never had a problem with those folks. At the end of the day, they're human beings. At the end of the day, they're trying to live their lives like everybody else. My philosophy has always been leave them alone. They bother no one. They make a huge contribution to society. And I have no problems with them. The only thing that I say is that if people are going to live like that, be honest and forthright about what you're doing and don't deceive others. Because a lot of the time the people that end up getting fooled and taken advantage of and have their heart broken are people who don't live that lifestyle, who women, for instance, who are in relationships with those people and only find out that that's what they're doing subsequent to getting involved with them. But I don't know Davey personally, but there's effeminacy to his manners, and again, that doesn't mean anything. There are a lot of men who appear to be effeminate who don't have those issues at all. But everything about Davey kind of like says that Davey is putting on a show of pretending that he's one way when in fact he's another. And I remember the girl called Meek Meek, the other one called Castor, and I'm sure that what was the other name? The young lady Mungiba, I forget her first name. All of those girls, to a certain extent, are living their lives, if they are traditional Kenyan women, hoping to meet a man, hoping to get married, hoping to create some sort of life for themselves with a man. To me, the problem I have with people like that is that if they're not living honestly, they're playing with the lives of those women. There's another person who I won't call by name because everybody knows who I'm talking about anyway, but I won't call him by name. For a while, he pretended that he was interested in a woman, that he wanted to be with her. And there was a way in which, when he got comfortable enough, he began being very, very cruel, very disrespectful to her, and in a subtle way. But it was obvious that he resented her because he did not want to really be involved with her. And people were like, oh no, he's just a comedian, he's being funny. There was nothing funny about that. So what I'm saying about Davey is this. You would have to be blind not to see that Davey has certain issues. I don't know what they are, but he has issues about his identity. And you would be a complete fool to see those boys that were at Maoist party dancing, bending over suggestively in front of other boys, and shaking their rear end. You would have to be completely foolish to say, oh, no, that's just African culture. Men dance with each other like that. Come on now. Africa is no different than the rest of the world. You have all kinds of people who do all kinds of things there, just like you do anywhere else in the world. Maybe things are not as open. Maybe things are not as pronounced. And I feel sorry for people that are like that. I feel sorry for them, not because of what anybody thinks. My pity for them is this. They're not fooling anybody. People look at them and see that they have a certain way of acting that's not in keeping with a man okay, or a woman for that matter, because there are women that are like that too. And the only person that they're deceiving is themselves. They go through an awful lot, and they end up victimizing people. They end up, there's a name for what men of that kind call a woman who they pretend to be interested in, when in fact they're not really interested in her. It's called a beard. They're wearing a beard. They're wearing a disguise by associating with that woman, pretending that they are red-blooded normal men. Well, they are red-blooded normal men anyway. It's just that who they direct their affections to is different. And my attitude is, I don't really have what I'm concerned with in life is how I behave. How other people behave is their concern. Right now, there's a major scandal going on in the United States because a major musician who happens to be fabulously wealthy, called P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, is turning out to have been a major predator, pursuing other men who were ambitious in the music industry, and the way that it touches my community in particular is here in Dallas, Texas. We have a giant in the preaching circles by the name of T.D. Jakes. T.D. Jakes has a huge church, an immense international community of people who watch his videos, follow him. Presidents, leaders of nations have consulted him, and he's amassed an incredible amount of wealth. But I live in a neighborhood that has a lake called White Rock Lake. He bought a house right there by that lake. Okay, this is a huge lake, a beautiful lake. Everybody and families and everything like going out there for picnics and everything. But there's also a huge community of men who have a certain persuasion, who like to go in that park and meet each other in the bushes and do things. It was no accident that T.D. Jakes moved to that neighborhood. His son repeatedly got in problems with the police because of being in the bushes with those men. And now it turns out that T.D. Jakes, was a close associate of P. Diddy. Allegations are being made about his identity and everything. He's denying it. I will not judge. My only point in making that, in telling that story is this. The Bible says something to the effect that what's done in the dark will come to the light. At the end of the day, people figure out these things, and the Davies of the world are fooling no one. You look at the way that Davy behaves in the company of women, and there's something, there's something there that it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I mean, it's like the terrible thing about Kenya, and I'm not criticizing Kenyans, but I'm based on the Kenyans that I've met, the terrible thing that I've noticed in dealing with Kenyans is that a lot of Kenyans are good, righteous, well-behaved people, and they want to pretend that there are things that don't exist in their country. And when you go to a church community that's full of Kenyans, all that you have to do is sit back and watch and observe and listen, and you realize that Kenyans are good people, but they're not better than anybody else. They have their problems. So to me, it just would not really be much of a surprise to discover that Davy is in fact living a certain lifestyle or whatever. It wouldn't be much of a... I'll tell you something about Almara. I think about the time that he was in Argentina in a park, and he saw two young boys and tried to call them over to talk to them about what? The boys looked at him and ran. Now, let me explain to those of you who may not know this. I was just mentioning White Rock Lake and T.D. Jakes, the place where a lot of men that follow a certain kind of lifestyle tend to gather after dark and do, connect with each other, connect with male prostitutes and everything, happens to be parks. Whenever you see young men hanging around a park, late into the night, and the park has a certain reputation, you can pretty much figure out what they do. The optimal example of that is Central Park in New York City. White Rock Lake has those kind of issues. What am I saying about Mara? I'm saying that the average man does not go to one of those places or a place that has that vibe and try to call over young boys who are probably not there for the best of reasons. And by the way, let me just say this. Please, to whatever extent possible, protect the children. A lot of the time, male prostitutes happen to be young, happen to be boys, not even men. So anyway, all that I'm saying is this: people need to get over the illusion that Africa is some sort of an island, that they don't do what the rest of the world does over in Africa. And people like Davy, somebody needs to tell them, for crying out loud, you're not fooling anybody. If you are uncomfortable living the way that you're living, consider changing the way that you live. Or in the alternative, don't get yourself on don't put yourself on public media, because people are going to discuss this kind of thing. People are going to look at what you do. People are going to talk about it, and it's going to be very, very uncomfortable for you. Okay, it's like, I to a certain extent, I feel sorry for people like Davy. They pay a very big price. They're harassed in this country. Some of the time they're beaten up and all kinds of things happening. It's kind of heartbreaking. It's not our business to judge them. They have a right to choose whatever lifestyle they want to live. The only thing is, I say, quit fooling yourself and quit fooling other people. You know, there are people in this world who have seen and heard everything, and they're looking at you and they see right through the act. You know. Anyway, Asante Asana, if you have listened this long, please subscribe, like and subscribe and share, and please make comments. I value the comments of everybody who makes them. In the meantime, I'm hoping you're having a wonderful evening, and until tomorrow,